It is Thursday, May 28th. Welcome to the show. President Trump, he is on a winning streak, folks. He's on a roll after winning 119 races. Yes, 119 endorsements, 119 wins. That's a record. Democrats, meanwhile, in a tailspin. The two states they were hoping to win to retake the Senate, to retake the majority, their chances disappearing in front of their eyes.
Last night was incredible. Not only Texas, but so many other places. And the numbers were fantastic. And they've really been that way for a year. If you look, it's hundreds of people won. And almost nobody didn't win. But last night was very powerful.
Now, the most important of these races, though, was the Texas Senate race. Yes, Republican incumbent John Cornyn, who has held that seat for 24 years, and voted with Trump 99% of the time, but refused to sign on to the Save America Act. Doing that lost him Trump's endorsement and, shocker, lost him the race.
Because just take a look here. Okay, the worst GOP senator primary lost by the margin, the worst ever for Republican senator. It now belongs to John Cornyn. His 28-point loss on Tuesday night was the worst since at least World War II for a Republican senator. We have seen this over and over and over again. When a Republican goes up against Donald Trump, or Donald Trump really goes up against them, it doesn't end too well for that Republican senator. We saw it just a few weeks ago with Bill Cassidy getting, just 25% of the vote, which was the lowest vote share total for any senator, incumbent senator. And now when looking at the margin, again, breaking history, the 28-point loss for John Cornyn, the worst for a Republican senator since at least World War II, Kate Baldwin. That is how historic it was.
That is
President Trump endorsing Ken Paxton, who, by the way, both the Republican and Dem establishments tried their hardest to prevent from winning. Why do you think that is? What were they so scared of? Well, take a look. This is Ken Paxton, folks. Watch this.
I'll support President Trump's America First agenda and finally secure our nation's elections by passing the Save America Act. My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He's even running a vegan campaign, whatever that is. He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of. Some people know him as Tofu Talarico. Some people call him Six-Gender Jimmy. I've even heard some people call him James Talarico. And others refer to him simply as Low T Talarico.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is Ken Paxton, the new Republican America First Senate candidate for Texas. What this means is Senate Leader John Thune, he's out of friends, folks. Almost all of his friends in the U.S. Senate are gone. Now, the general election is in November, the midterms. This race, this Texas Senate race, by far the most consequential of the entire midterm cycle, because as it stands right now, if Republicans were to maintain their current majority with Ken Paxton instead of John Cornyn, that means the Save America Act will pass. They'd have the votes for the Save America Act and for almost every other piece of legislation that's been held up in the Senate for the past 18 months. So suffice it to say, this race is critical, and Democrats choosing to run James Talarico, who they've been claiming is their guy, their up-and-comer who will flip Texas blue, a pro-trans preacher who still wears a mask, by the way, in public in 2026. For months, the media has been purposely choosing to make Talarico the face of their party, their new Beto O'Rourke type rock star.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, but also it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society. And so I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign. So we are only buying vegan products from our local vegan businesses. Some of you may know Big Nona's. They were little Nona's, and then they opened up brick and mortar, so another Big Nona's. But we just got our pizza from there today. And so The point is that I think all of us, not just policymakers, but everyone has to take personal responsibility in this effort.
Well, that is now backfiring big time. Talarico is toast, folks. He's been leading in the polls for months, beating both Cornyn and Paxton in these head-to-head matchups. How that's possible, I have no idea, but he has. Nobody knew who the guy was. Paxton releasing this ad on Monday, 4 days ago, and let's just say it is having an effect. Here is the ad. We'll play it now. Then we'll look at the new polling that just dropped this morning. Roll it.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
God is non-binary. There are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity. They're gonna call me a radical leftist.
Something that you love, that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
Low T Talarico, too weak for Texas. Lone Star Liberty PAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the man the DNC chose to run for Senate in Texas. Who makes these choices for the DNC? This isn't the House of Representatives where you got lunatics all over the place. This is the U.S. Senate. These are supposed to be professionals. Whoever made that choice is going to lose their job because he's now plummeting in the betting markets. Kalshi has his odds dropping 11 points since Monday. Democrats now terrified. They just lost their shot to retake the Senate, and they're blaming the DNC. Watch.
First of all, let's just talk about how bad of a DNC chair Ken Martin is. And let's just talk about how crazy the Democratic Party is. They've got a 20% approval rating, and they're getting completely blown away in fundraising. They are getting crushed by the Republicans.
Yes, they are getting crushed. Tuesday's National Committee fundraising update showing just how bad a spot Dems really are in. The RNC reporting $124 million cash on hand for the midterms, while the DNC reporting a negative $3.1 million in net assets. A negative $3.1 million asset value. And it's only getting worse. The New York Post reporting today that the DNC is cutting ties with Graham Plattner, their U.S. Senate candidate in Maine. That's the guy with the N-word symbol tattooed on his chest. And the Post piece saying this: insiders in the party are warning of a civil war breaking out. Where they find these people, I have no idea. Plattner's deviant, scandal-plagued history is only the beginning of the problems he has ahead. Realize, Maine and Texas, folks, these were the two Senate seats that they were competitive in, that Democrats were hoping to flip. These are the two seats they've been banking on. Maine especially. If they have any chance at winning the majority, they need to flip both Texas and Maine. Yet they have James Talarico in Texas and Graham Plattner in Maine. Graham Porta Potty Plattner, that's the new nickname on social media. If you don't know the Porta Potty story, you can Google it if you want to. Let's just say the midterms are looking a whole lot more promising suddenly for Republicans.